Final event of the day is race number 9. It's a beauty as well. Flexi Trifecta Handicap, 1,400 metres. And this race is for 0 to 86 runners at 5:37. Let's finish up there here in Perth and 4:37 in Singapore. Right ho. We have a look at the past run here of Aces for Amber. Also, Strike and Mr. President Barrambi come out of the same race. We catch up with Jason Whiting, who'll be riding Striken, and Shavano, the 3-year-old, goes up against the older horses. The other runners in this race we need to take a look at include Square One, Certain Gold. I think there are a couple of older type horses struggling. Lacerate got way back out of its ground last start. I don't know what happened there. Beaten 5 1/4 lengths. Westerly Breeze was scratched out of that Garavani race last week, and form before that was pretty good. Beaten 1.5 lengths. New Spice. You Classy Thing has drawn to get a good run here. Better Head Resumes was second at the trials behind Kim Currency. We go down to Galilei, Staying Tight resuming. And then over the page, Red Monarch will be back running on. Torrid Affair was pretty good behind Dante's Dash, but drawn wide. And if Hadapa Clarker gets a run, his form's been very good, including a win over Chili Alert at Bunbury. Chili Alert won at Belmont on Thursday. Let's get into the replays. Here's Aces for Amber. Forget about the numerical form about the big girl. She was stopped in her tracks when making ground.
Scampered away from Silver Seam when they turned 2 lengths. Metal Squall popped the question. Back behind them, Royale Harvest getting busy late and getting right up on the inside. Aces for Amber coming with a run, but she got cramped for room. Metal Squall joined by Royale Harvest and his Tropical Swell. Royale Harvest, they cut back to the inside, grabbed the lead, and Royale Harvest first up from the Haddons. Too good. Great little mare.
Well, very hard to get a guide off Aces for Amber off that run. She looked like she was really going to shoot through and do great things getting to the line, but she was stopped in her tracks. How close she would have finished, we don't know. So all we can do is go back to her trial a week earlier, and it was very good. She beaten 2 lengths behind a horse called Eliotto, although it went to the races and done nothing. So I'm still left scratching my head over Aces for Amber at this stage.
Now, we have a look at 3 runners in this race, and interestingly, Mr. President had shot to the lead. Striken was down the outside. Revy J, the winners in front of him in the orange and the grey, and behind them is Barrambi in those yellow and red colours.
Pin Tempo threading his way through back behind them, then Striken starting to warm up now as Revy J goes to the lead. Revy J in front, beats off Mr. President, followed by Striken. Pin Tempo flying behind them, but Revy J, hard ridden by Harvey, kicks home a treble for the day.
Well, Striken was probably the one that should have won out of the race. He was just held up slightly coming to the corner on a day where you really had to be within a couple of lengths of him upon straightening. Mr. President's run was okay. He was up there on the pace and they ran 122, so a pretty quick sectionals out in the lead. And the other one, Barrambi, he just seems like he could be crying out for a mile to me, just lacking that dash at the end of his races.
All right, well, Jason Whiting, he's back in those famous West Perth colours, also CBC Kalgoorlie, and let's have a listen to what he thinks about Striken's chances on Saturday.
Jason, Striken's a favourite of mine, but he does have a few convictions.
Yeah, no, he's not the easiest horse to ride, Wes, and he does always find something quite often to beat him on the day, but he races quite consistent.
2 and 3 starts back, his runs I thought were both very, very good. He ran very good sectionals, but last time out just probably got a bit too far back.
Yeah, he did a little bit. May have been a little bit of an error on my behalf, but he always does run a good, honest race without ever sort of winning too often.
Okay, now we mentioned about the 3-year-old Shavano from the Paul Jordan stable. Was back over 1,100 metres, got back to last and made up good ground.
Fem tracking at 3 lengths. Swallow Granty followed then on the rails by Shavano, who's picking up ground late. Chopin 150 to go, the leader. Here comes Shayla Fem though. It's Chopin, Shayla Fem. Shayla Fem grabs it, and Shayla Fem races away to beat Chopin. 3.5 lengths away. Shavano third.
That was 1,100 metres for Shavano there, and just ran a bit too slick. He's not an 1,100 metre horse. He's stepping up to the 1,400 on Saturday because he is guineas bound. Taking on the older horses for the first time, I would prefer to see him at his own age group, that's for sure.
All right, we better have a look at selections now for the final of the day, and I've tossed and turned with this one. I think because it'll be on pace, I'm looking for a horse who'll be up there out of trouble, and 10 Mr. President fills that horse's name. So 10 to beat 13 Strike and 7 Aces for Amber, and for the quartets up there in Singapore and here in Perth, 4 Westerly Breeze.
Similar for me, Marty, but I've gone number 4, Westerly Breeze, on top to win. To beat number 13, Strike, and he's a consistent performer. Wes's comments when interviewing Jason Whiting stating it's his favourite horse. I don't know where he gets that from.
He's been masochistic all his life.
He's certainly not one of my favourites. To run third, number 3, Lacerate, and to play the quartets, number 7, Aces for Amber, to play into the first 4.